to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Member Duffer, absent. Board Member Lambert, absent. Board Member Moore,
Present.
Board Member Olson,
Present.
Board Member Stuteville, absent. Board Member Tucker,
Here.
Board Member Thomas,
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear, absent. Chairman Craig.
Okay. Order of business is consent items. Number one, consider approval for January 4th minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion second, any opposed? All in favor, aye? Oh, wait, you
I call roll.
Okay, you call,
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. Board Member Moore, Board Member Olson,
Aye.
Board Member Tucker,
Yes.
Board Member Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Craig.
Yes. Okay, number two is to consider items removed from consent. As far as I know, there are no items. Okay. Next item is the manager's report.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's been a little bit since we were able to get together, and I apologize for all the last-minute shutdowns of the meeting due to the weather and then me being out of town at a conference. However, since the start of the year, some fantastic things are starting to occur out at our airport. I did, during the month of February, I attended an FAA conference in Hurst, Texas. While I was there, I was able to speak with several individuals from the FAA. Many of them are aware of our airport and how it is growing and continuing to increase in operations and everything else, and they're very excited on this. Had many discussions with them, and they're just, FAA is absolutely just excited about our airport. As of right now, we're currently awaiting 2 of our grant award letters from the FAA. One is for our AWAS relocation and replacement project, and the other one is for our taxiway marking project. The AWAS is going to be a whole brand new system. Once it's put in place, it'll be relocated onto the east side of the airport. We've got power over there and everything else, so it should go off without a hitch once we get it. The biggest question on that is just going to be the availability of the equipment. That'll probably be the longest time frame on that. As far as the taxiway goes, part of the reason why we're working on doing why we're redoing the markings on the taxiway is so we can have consistency amongst the markings, because where our current markings are and where the extension was, we have 2 different sets of markings. So we're looking for uniformity and consistency on those markings, as well as getting the reflectivity back in our markings, so that way they can actually be observable at night off the lights of the aircraft and stuff like that. Once we get word on when this project's going to be put in place, we will issue out a notice to all tenants, including Southeastern and Choctaw Nation, to let them know about what the time frame's looking like, how we're going to go about marking all these markings and stuff like that. Obviously, it's probably going to be broken up into phases, so we'll work each section as we go down. That way we're not limiting the access aircraft have to the runway. As it stands right now, a lot of our marking on the taxiway, 1 is not uniform, 2, there's a lot of parts that are chipped or faded, and also 2, there's little to no reflectivity for night operations on these markings. So we're going to be working that. Next thing I want to put out there is some actual great news. We have received notice from the National Weather Service out of Norman that we have been selected to receive a terminal aerodrome forecast system at our airport. The reason why I say this is fantastic is because there were actually several airports that were surveyed for this, and due to our increase in operations and everything else with the airport, we were the ones that were selected for this system. I'm sorry?
Was only one selected?
Correct. Only one airport was selected, and that was ours. We beat out Ardmore, both airports over in Ardmore for this, so it's absolutely fantastic news. This system will be up and operational about probably 2 weeks after our AWAS is up and running. So they're going to pretty much coincide with each other. They don't want to do it now while we're getting our AWAS replaced, but as soon as the AWAS relocation and replacement project is done, they'll get the TAF up and running. I'm currently working with the National Weather Service on the agreements and all the LOIs, letter of intents, and everything else. So we're working that.
I can't think of any non-towered airports except McAllister and Mineral Wells that have a TAF. That's pretty neat.
Yes, sir. So
That's a
that
big deal.
it's a huge benefit for our airport and especially the school.
Yeah.
I think it's also going to possibly help to increase some traffic in and out of our area as well. The other bit of news is the end of May, beginning of June this year, we will have the Oklahoma Army National Guard out there with a temporary tower. They will be running it for 2 weeks, where they will be conducting tower operations, but this will only be in VFR conditions, so only in visual conditions. There won't be any operations that they have to come in by instrument, so weather, cloudy days, stuff like that, they won't be operating because they're not able to bring their radar systems with them. They're currently working the agreements with the FAA, getting all the frequencies they need for ground and tower operations. It'll be a 4 nautical mile radius around the airport, and they will also monitor CTAF to advise anybody coming in to switch over to the tower frequency for operations. Here shortly, I will be sending out a notice to all the tenants at the airport advising of dates and times of the operations as well as the frequencies once I have those from the National Guard. I'm just waiting on those right now to be able to send that notice out.
So will they be a controlling agency? So you'll have to talk to them to land here? It's not going to be like they're just doing, traffic watch essentially? I mean, they're actually going to clear us the land?
Correct. They'll be issuing clearances and stuff like that. However, we're not changing the airspace classification. We're going to be towered non-restricted is basically what our classification is going to be during this. And if somebody doesn't respond to the tower or doesn't want to talk to the tower, basically all the tower is going to do is move all the other traffic away from the unknown aircraft, if you will.
Yeah. Okay.
There's not really going to be anything enforcement-wise they can do if somebody doesn't want to listen to them, because we're not changing the airspace classification and stuff like that. So.
Is that something you put a note on?
We will issue a NOTAM during it, yes, sir. We'll have the frequencies in the NOTAM as well, and then we'll also be putting out a notice on our current AWAS system for anybody flying in that listens to the AWAS. They'll be able to hear those directions as well. So we're working in conjunction with the National Guard on this. And this is another fantastic item because I think it's going to help in our operations, and it's going to show how a tower can be beneficial for our airport. And then they should be bringing the equipment down sometime this month, getting it staged over on the east side of the airport. And then there's one weekend in May where they'll have it up doing their tests and everything else. And then they'll take it back down at the end of that weekend, and then the end of May, and for 2 weeks, end of May to about mid-June, they'll be in operation for 2 weeks during that time.
What kind of military aircraft are they bringing in for this?
As of right now, I don't know. They're still trying to coordinate with the rest of the state on trying to get military aircraft in and out of here. For right now, their main plan is just to kind of work with our local tenants that are out flying or any other aircraft in and out of the airport right now. But they are trying to work on getting some military aircraft in and out. I believe they're talking with Lawton, I think they've mentioned they're going to reach out to Enid Woodring area for the military traffic up there, and Altus Courts as well for that military air traffic.
Did we ever up our runway weight class?
That is still under review by the FAA. So the FAA had a change out on a lot of their staff. So some of their engineers are going back over what was submitted to them from when we did the ground penetrating radar and we took the core samples at the airport. They're going back over those to verify that all those weights were accurate. As soon as we get that approval from the FAA, we'll be able to update our 5010 and increase our weights. But right now we're looking roughly about 82 to 84,000 pounds continuous operations at the airport.
But they could have aircraft that's 3 times that, right?
Correct. Yeah, we can handle about, I want to say 105 to 110,000 pound aircraft on a uncommon or rare basis, not common occurrence right now, but common everyday operations would be about 82 to 84,000 pound aircraft.
Do we have anybody coming in that weighs that much very often?
Not very often. I mean, we get close. We've had what was it?
The CRJ. It's probably close. That CRJ that came in?
The CRJs, we had the Gulfstream 650 that came in. Now, Gulfstream 650, that's upwards of about 100,000 pounds.
Just last couple of days?
Last couple days, no, sir. We really don't get aircraft that...
Coming in, it was pretty good size.
Yeah, those were probably between 40 to 60,000 pound aircraft, stuff like that. CRJs, some of your, an XLS, isn't that about 30,000 or something like that?
22,000.
Yeah, so, but a lot of your CRJs can get up there. Your Global 5000s and aircraft like that can get up there in that weight range. So, and then another bit of exciting news. I'm working with Rebecca right now on doing a press release or a public release notice on our Facebook page for it. And we have a fly-in scheduled for June 17th this year with the Commemorative Air Force. They're going to be bringing in roughly about 8 aircraft for this fly-in. Highlights of this is going to be they're bringing in a DC-3 aircraft. They're bringing in, I believe it was a C-25. They're also bringing in President Eisenhower's Air Force One, which was an Aero Commander. So they're going to be bringing that in. They're bringing a Stearman, a few other aircraft. Now with this, I'm also working with Commemorative Air Force on designing a web page for the event where anybody interested in attending can also go on there and buy tickets to go fly on these certain aircraft. As far as I know, the only one that's not going to be flying constantly selling tickets is the DC-3. However, all the other aircraft coming in are selling tickets to go fly in them. So, so that's an exciting event. We're working with trying to get possible traffic control with the local police departments. We're working with local vendors for food trucks, maybe even a snow cone truck out there. We're going to have porta-johns out there, stuff like that. We're going to be reaching out for volunteers to help assist with this. I have taken the liberty of reaching out to Choctaw Nation as well, seeing if we can't get some buy-in with them and maybe some volunteers, stuff like that. So we've got a lot of moving pieces on this one, but we're hoping to have it a little bit more coordinated than our last event at the airport.
So are you working on with Choctaw having buses bus into the airport? I know in the past there's been a huge traffic jam.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the air shows we did, I think everybody had to park at Choctaw, and then everyone was bussed in.
Correct. That's what I'm trying to work on right now, is getting approval to utilize our parking garages and the shuttle to run them from the casino out to the airport. And I'm trying to indicate to Choctaw Nation how this would benefit them as well, because everybody coming back might want to go into a restaurant, have a quick bite to eat, something like that. But seeing if we can't utilize our parking garages and have the shuttles bring them out to the airport to help reduce the amount of traffic at the airport. We're also going to be working with that field over by Emergency Management's storage building. We're going to be looking at putting out some barricades and cones out there to kind of set up some sort of parking in that area, and that's the other reason why I'm trying to work with local PD as well on getting some traffic control assistance out there, is try to help with that, so it's not on just the airport staff and their volunteers that we get to be able to, you know, get some assistance with that.
Do we still have, I don't remember, CAP group here or Eagle?
We do not have a CAP here anymore.
Group here of young kids, I don't remember exactly what.
Right, that was the Civil Air Patrol that used to be here. The squadron was shut down. I have been in some off and on talks with Civil Air Patrol about trying to see if we can't restart another program down here. But that's something that's still ongoing at this time. So we're looking at reaching out to the Civil Air Patrol out of, I believe it's Sherman, seeing if maybe we can't get some of them to come up, maybe help as volunteers, and maybe even set up a table or something like that, and, you know, do some advertising items like that. And then also too, we are currently working on wildlife mitigation policies at the airport. I'm sure everybody's seen the increase in birds out there, buzzards, stuff like that. We've already ordered in some bird bangers for the airport. We're just waiting for those to arrive so we can start going out and trying to help mitigate some of these issues. And then also too, we're currently working this to try to help mitigate some of the coyote issues that we're having out there at the airport. I have talked with our KSA consultants about possibly using either our BIL or AIP funds down the road to actually put in place a wildlife hazard management plan. You know, if we go forward with this, it is roughly about $100,000 for this plan to go through, but it is, you know, it is AIP eligible, so we can get a grant through the FAA for this. And basically what that is we'd have a biologist come out to the airport. They'd spend a little bit of time out there, document all this wildlife species that are at the airport, and then they'll give us recommendations in a booklet that states how we can mitigate these issues. It would also allow us to put in for depredation permits if that's so needed, or even hunting licenses if that's so needed, to help mitigate some of the wildlife issues out at the airport. The other aspect this will do is this will help set us up in a better position to possibly push forward on getting our perimeter fencing put in place, because now we'd have the hazard plan to fall back on, saying this is why we need this fence put in place. So the plan, while it is going to take a little bit of time, does have several parts to it that will be beneficial to the airport once we get it put in place. So that's pretty much all I got. So with that, I'll stand for any more questions if anybody's got anything else. Yes, sir.
With the National Guard, you said they're not gonna have a radar.
Correct.
Will they have any type of ADS-B receiver where they can see people maybe?
I believe they are. Yeah, we're going to work with giving them access to our VerTower program, so they can log into that, and they can track aircraft on that as well, and that will help them. Yes, sir.
So they have a heads up if people are coming.
Yes, sir.
The other question was, when you were at the conference, the FAA, did you talk to them about future tower doing?
Not there, no, sir. Most of my conversations down there in Hurst were actually in regards to Part 139 status for our airport. A lot of them are excited for that. They think our biggest challenge, which I can agree with, is going to actually be to get a commuter service that would be interested in coming to Durant. Part of that is because of our proximity to Dallas. That's where they think a lot of the issue might come from. But I still hold out hope that I think we might be able to entice somebody that would be willing to come in. We might not get flights down to Dallas, but I think we can work flights to other areas in the country.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, administration, anything on that?
motion for adjournment.
All in favor?
Oh.
Or you got?
Board Member Duffer?
Approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Board Member Moore? Board Member Olson? Board Member Tucker? Board Member Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Craig?
We're adjourned.